Well, today what we're going to be doing is installing this retro sound speaker, which is a really cool little device that I found on my hunts through eBay parts for upgrading the stereo on this bus to some sort of working fashion. It is a 1965 Volkswagen bus, so it was originally 6 volt, so now it's 12 volt. So obviously the 6 volt stereo doesn't work. The vintage is still really cool on this one, so I'm going to leave it in here. But what I found was a speaker upgrade kit, basically a 6.5 inch speaker. The cool part about this speaker, again, is that it's got two voice coils in it, so you can actually hook up left and right channels to it. So left and right voice coils. Still, it's a single speaker, but it kind of gives you a little bit of a stereo sound out of it. Also, what we're going to be installing is this Woody's custom shop amplifier. And get them from Woody's Classics down there in Costa Mesa. They're online, woodyscustomshop.com. They got a phone number on here, 1-877-435-6911. But basically what this does, it mounts or connects to that speaker with left and right speaker wires, so left and right channels on that speaker. It's got a positive in that basically we're going to wire in with this fuse into the fuse block on the bus, and then got to wire in a ground. And then basically, yeah, this will mount somewhere down there in the parcel tray, and then you can see it's just got the old adapter here. This is my iPhone, but and then it just plugs in, and you can manage your music and volume. It's got a little volume control here, but I understand you do the volume control here as well as pretty much mostly on your device. But that's it. So this is everything you're going to need to do this project today. This is a 7/64 drill bit right here. This is a 5mm Allen, and this is a 13mm deep socket. You can see you've got multiple screwdrivers here, flathead screwdriver as well as a Phillips and another Phillips. The only reason why there's two Phillips here is sometimes a shorter Phillips screwdriver get you to places, or a longer one to be more convenient. You also have your power tester, because you're going to need to find 12 volt power, and you're going to also need a crimper or a wire stripper to do the wiring, and then obviously a pen just to mark positioning, and a pencil. And obviously we're going to need to drill holes to mount the speaker and the amplifier or whatever we're working on today. So that's pretty much all you need. Alright, so to get the parcel tray out of this bus, you just need these 3 tools. Typically you only need 2, but one of the bolts I've converted to be an Allen because it's a little bit easier to manage on a day-to-day basis. But anyway, Phillips head, 13mm, and an Allen wrench. This one's a 5mm. That was my choice. Alright, so the actual process of taking out the parcel tray, you just basically, you find your Phillips head screw right here. You'll see it's pretty big and obvious. I've obviously loosened this up already once before because, everything always likes to give you a little bit of a hassle. Now always, try to find a spot where you can keep your screws without kicking them or losing them or whatever the case may be. So anyway, there's the first one. The second one's over here basically in the same spot, but just obviously on the opposite side of the car. So again, these are Phillips heads. And then there's a third one in the middle here that I changed out. We're going to go ahead and leave that one in there for now, so this can kind of be stable in some way while we take off the steering column mount here right there, which captures the parcel tray as well. So anyway, there's your 13mm socket. There's 2 13mm underneath here. Again, I've already played with it, so it's all ready to go. Again, things, unless you have had them off once before, they usually give you a little hassle on something that's, what, 48 years old. So anyway, but you can see, pretty easy to find. Not a lot going on underneath the bus. Not a lot of nuts and bolts. So then take that off, and there you go. There's your 13mm. You're done with that. Again, put your stuff in a nice spot where you're not going to kick it. Now, this is one thing that a lot of people forget about when they're trying to get the steering column off of here, is they think that, oh, I can get that out. Well, it's a lot easier if you go ahead and loosen these up, because what this is a rubber clamp that holds the steering column in place, and obviously it doesn't want to let go if it's all tight and cinched down. But anyway, so then that just moves out of the way like so. Now your parcel tray is all loose and ready to go, except for that one Allen bolt that I left in there to just kind of hold it up. So now I'll take my Allen wrench, throw it in there. Oh, I almost forgot, you also have to take off the speedometer cable. Alright, so unconnecting or disconnecting the speedo cable is required just to give you enough room when you pull the parcel tray out. You basically just unscrew the plastic collar or metal collar if it's a vintage one and push it down like that, and that allows the parcel tray to really hang. And then you can get in there and again pull out your center mount, which then you can see it just adds a lot of flexibility to your ability to get in there. Now we have all the slack because the speedo's right down in there. We got the parcel tray out. Again, as I mentioned earlier, I'd done some prefab because this is kind of a special application I had in mind. But basically, here's the speaker out of the parcel tray, the box it came in, the mounting bracket you can see here, and then again the two voice coils, the left and right voice coils with the big speaker in the back. The back's pretty impressive. I really like the way they've made this and the fact that it really encloses the speaker, so hopefully it pushes a lot of the sound forward. What's really cool too here is you've got a screw mount, which you can actually, I could have bolted this straight down with one hole down to the bottom and called it good enough, but again I wanted to use this this mount. So anyway, you can see that some tabs have been bent around here a little bit and did some screw holes. Had to drill holes here. Those mount up or match up with what I've got here on the parcel tray. Basically, you know, it all lined up. When I had it in here, I was doing my fittings. Wanted to make sure I didn't bounce up against any kind of bulkheads or radios. So when I had this all put together in here, I took a Sharpie, made a little mark just to make sure I was in the right position as I decided where I wanted to have it in the. Found this where I wanted to mount this anyway, so I used, you can see here, a little bit of a Sharpie and then got a pencil and made a couple little tiny holes right here, or tiny marks I should say, where the holes are going to be for our sheet metal screws that were provided with the Woody's Custom Shop Classic Audio Solutions amplifier. So anyway, I'm going to drill holes right there, and here we go. This is a bit precarious, which is always fun when you're not on your shop bench, but you can't take the parcel tray out without taking the speedometer cable out. So we're going for it, which I've been doing for years, and sometimes it gets really funny. The next step here is we're going to go ahead and take the ground and the positive wires. This is the 12 volt positive. You can see it's fused. And we're going to put some cable ends on it, or wire ends on it, so that we can plug it into the amplifier. You can see that the amplifier's got poles here for everything to connect to it. So again, ground, connector, power, connector, connected to the amplifier. So again, it's pretty easy to do. You just, you know, obviously you strip the wire first by going to the appropriate wire size, which in this case is 18. You just basically pop it right off. You can see the wire comes out just nice and clean. Give it a couple twists. Put that wire on there like so. Line up the blue dot with the blue color-coded connector. Smash it real good, not too tight, doesn't have to go crazy with it, and then basically there you go. That connects onto the ground side of the amplifier. Now we'll go ahead and do that with the red wire as well. We're going to go ahead and do this side closest to the amp for the fuse. Again, down to the 18 gauge. Pop that off, give it a twist, put the end on there, give it a smash corresponding to the blue button or the blue dot on the clamper with the wire end. Give it a little smash, and again, there you go. We got our positive and negative. The next thing we have is we're going to run the speaker wire, or at least cut the speaker wire to length. As you probably have seen before, you know, we've got our mount for our amplifier something about right here, and you can see that, you know, the speaker wire, we've got, you know, plenty here to go. So we're going to go ahead and cut that to length. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and take the speaker wire and mount it or connect it on here first. and then obviously figure it out from there. Now, it's easy to figure out which one's positive and negative. You may want to make sure that the positive matches up with the positive on the amplifier, so that basically you don't get any bass reduction. If you cross the channels positive and negative, you sometimes get some poor sound representation there. So as you can see, one of these is smaller than the other, so the smaller of the two is in the negative, or the black wire typically, but in this case it's the smaller the side. You can pull out a little bit more wire if you want, and the bigger one goes on the positive. Now, the one thing to consider here to remember is one wire has a color on it, as a white stripe in this case. Well, that's the positive side. Again, you're going to want to make sure that when we do our wire connectors, just like we did on the end here, that this white wire corresponds to the white or the positive side of the pole here. So you can see how that matches up, white, black. So we'll end up putting the white side on the plus and the black only side on the minus. The next step is we're going to go ahead and put the connector on for the ground lead here. And again, I had already taken the insulation off the wire. I'm going to go ahead and press it. But you can see this one's a little bit different than the other connector that we had been using before. This one slips over a pole. This one we're going to use to screw into the back of the speaker. Basically, we're going to use the sheet metal screw like so, and then that sheet metal screw also will help to mount this speaker down. So that's what we're doing on this go around. So the amplifier's been mounted, and we're going to go ahead and again go through putting the speaker wires on the correct poles, left and right. Speaker wire here, that would be left. Again, white is positive, black is negative, so we're going to go ahead and put that on the left side. So black is negative, white is positive, so that's the white stripe one there. And then we'll go ahead and put the black wire there. Again, that's the left speaker. Just check again, right, we got white is on the positive, black on the negative. So again, we've got the white wire there, negative. Oops, I'm going to switch that around because I'm always very detailed like that. Alright, so then the next one, as we were mentioning, is to mount the ground wire. We're going to go ahead and use the speaker, or the mounting screw that we had used for the speaker as the ground as well. So basically just find the hole here and get ready to screw that in to what we've already established as our mounting place for the speaker. This makes a good ground, again, because the parcel tray is connected in 4 spots. So whereas if we were to mount this ground to just this amplifier, you got aluminum in between the metal here, and it seemed like a better way to go over here. Alright, next step is we've got to find power for our amplifier, and again it's through this red wire right here, 12 volt power again. I've got my tester, and I'm going to go to the fuse box on a bus. It's right underneath this parcel tray, so we're just going to go ahead and get this out of the way for a little bit. And you can see down here is the fuse box. Red fuses typically are positive, and you can see here that, oh yeah, that one's got positive. That one's red, but it doesn't have any power. These white ones, I wouldn't expect them to. They're probably, windshield wipers, turn signals, that kind of thing. No power there, no power there. So this is our permanent on power. So that means if I want this amplifier to be on all the time without the key being in the ignition or anything like that, I could go ahead and do that. But obviously the problem could occur that I could run the battery down. So I'm not quite sure on where I want to wire this thing yet. So I want to find a switchable wire power source. So now you turn the key on. You can see the ignition lights are on. In this case, my turn signals are on, but we'll leave those on because maybe we'll be able to see them in the fuse box. So I'm going to go ahead and test my power again. Obviously, permanent on, that's on. Oh, we got switched power there. So it's going to be one of these two. So anyway, now we know where to go. Now, what we do have to do, though, is before we get the parcel tray in, is we need to go ahead and get behind this panel right here, because we're going to need to put this wire in behind this bulkhead so we can get in behind that that fuse box. So let's go ahead and take that panel off of there real quick. I've already unscrewed most of them, but we got this one left up by here. So we'll take that off. And then we'll just peel back our panel here, and you can see the fuse box. Now, I need to take this fuse box out to obviously get in behind it to see what's happening. So I gotta take my little Phillips head. Hopefully I'm not getting in the way of everybody here. And unscrew this as best I can. So the last wire to connect now is the positive. We're gonna go ahead and do that now before we feed it back through the dash and to the fuse box. But there we go, we can see that. I don't know if you can see behind here, but I've already taken the fuse box out. Basically just, it slips in behind here. Once I unscrewed that, it came out pretty easily. Alright, so I've taken the power wire and I've looped it up over the top of the bulkhead in front of the parcel tray, and now I'm going to go ahead and put it on. I've decided to put it on the switched power. I decided that I don't want this thing to be draining the battery on accident, so I've gone ahead and found a pole here that I'm going to go ahead and stick this on. So now, go ahead and get that wedge back on there, and I'll go ahead and tighten all that up. Alright, so now the fuse box is all put back in there. You can see the wire has been looped around the top. Everything's in there good. Everything seems to be working as designed. Let me make sure that we didn't mess anything up, and we'll check and make sure we've got power like we did before. There's our always on, there's our switched. Again, we didn't have any power over here with any of these items. So there we go. Next step is we'll be putting the parcel tray back into position and firing it up. Alright, so you gotta just put the kick panel back in. Again, it's the screws right up here at the top, Phillips heads. I only took 3 of them out because that's all it required to get it done, but basically, you know, just there you go. Now we're just going to go ahead and put the parcel tray back in. Again, you know, watching for your wires. You know, you're going to want to go through and manage where your wires go, and you know how you like them to be routed and things like that. But basically, it's all just back to putting the parcel tray back in. Again, I always start out with my big Allen here that I always like to use. It helps to get it established and stable first, and then everything else will just hang out around it. We've got everything all mounted back in there. The parcel tray's on, speakers on, Woody's custom amplifiers mounted. The audio jack is ready to be installed. Basically, this is an old school iPod. I'm using this in here just because I'll probably end up leaving this iPod in here. But there you go. It connects up. My screen's on. Go ahead and play a song. There it is playing. Now I'm going to hit the volume here. Oh, I got to turn the key on because I did the switching for the power source. Oh yeah, there it is. Alright, now you can control the volume I hear from the amp as well as the iPod player. So now I've got the amplifier turned all the way up to maximum. And I'm about medium on the volume here on my amplifier, on my iPod. Wow, that turns out pretty good. That gives me what I was looking for, just something to listen to while I'm cruising down the street. That might even represent pretty well on the freeway. Nice. Now I'll put my cup holder back. Can't even really see the speaker. Looks great. I love it. I think it's time to cruise.